Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Insights of a Headhunter LinkedIn Live. Today, we have a wonderful guest with us, John Espirian. He's one of my favorite authors. He is a community manager of online community called Espresso Plus, and he is known as the relentlessly helpful LinkedIn nerd. Welcome, John.
Thank you for having me back, Tina. It feels like ages since we've spoken.
Yes, and it was 2 years ago, and we just continued with the LinkedIn Live. So I'm so happy to have you here with me to celebrate the 2-year milestone.
No problem at all. Congratulations for continuing to do the show, because I think a lot of people probably would have given up much sooner, but you stuck at it, and that's one of the hallmarks of success. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. And today I wanted to talk to you about online visibility tips. And if you're listening or watching this, send us your questions and we will pop up the questions as we go. So tell me a little bit more about your background for those people who don't know you.
Well, I started out as a software and hardware tester long time ago. And then when I was made redundant from that, I took my transferable skill into copywriting, because I spent a lot of my software and hardware testing days explaining how stuff worked to people. And so I started writing technical content to explain how things worked. And that served me for about a decade. And all the while I was learning how LinkedIn was working. And then I specialized in giving people LinkedIn tips. So I was relying on testing the software, which is LinkedIn, and explaining how it worked and providing those LinkedIn tips. And now most people who come across me will know me for my LinkedIn work. And now I'm running my own community to help people get the best out of LinkedIn. So here I am, and it's been a 20-year career journey to get here, but I'm very happy with what I'm doing now.
Yeah, and I've got so many tips from your book, not only about LinkedIn visibility, but other stuff as well. So I really recommend that. And I'm a part of the Espresso Plus community as well, the online community.
Yes, and thank you for being part of it.
Yes, and we're learning together. And what I wanted to talk to you about today is online visibility tips, but also for people who are not actively looking for new jobs, but people who are invisible in their own organizations, and maybe they want to get a promotion or just make it visible to their peers and their managers what they are doing and where they would like to go.
Yeah, we had a really interesting little chat about that before we went live, and it's a good way of framing it, that so many people think that LinkedIn is a place to go only when you are searching for a job. But actually, if you keep your presence up to date, then that can improve your profile within your organization. So maybe that gives you an opportunity to get a promotion that you would otherwise have been looked over for. And it just makes you seen as being the more authoritative person, and so that might attract someone from the outside to come and give you a dream position. So keeping your LinkedIn profile up to date is a great, in my world, it's great for external visibility, but there's absolutely no reason why you can't do it for internal visibility and positioning yourself as a thought leader within your company. And that's got to be a good thing for your future earning potential. But the only way to do that is to show up and have something relevant and memorable to say. And so many people, they don't show up. They at most might click the like button once in a while, but actually getting involved in the conversation is what it's all about. And I can see comments coming in as well. And people who get involved in the conversation, they're the memorable ones.
Exactly. And always as a headhunter, I interview even internal candidates.
Mm-hmm.
And compare them with the external candidates. And always my first tip is, when you're looking for a new job, go for the low-hanging fruit. That's your internal opportunities, where you already have recommendations, where people know you. So those are not often thought of. And there are good examples of people who have become known in their own organizations by being active on LinkedIn.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And in terms of being known, it's something I keep repeating, and it's really the central idea behind the Content DNA book is you want to try to be known, if possible, for one thing. It's much easier to refer others for a skill set if they can sum you up in a sentence, a very short sentence, rather than trying to sum up lots of different skills and interests that you might have. Because I think what happens is that if you've got lots of different things going on, people can't remember it all. And so they end up retreating to something like, they're a nice person and they know lots of stuff. But that's not really specific. I'd rather be referred for, a LinkedIn specialism, for example. That's all I want to be known for, versus trying to convey that I know loads and loads of different things in different areas. People aren't going to remember that, and they're not going to say it to other people. So try and carve out a niche of being known for one thing as much as possible.
Yeah, and like you said, a lot of other things. What I took away from the book, like two things that had almost nothing to do with LinkedIn, but that you keep the consistency, like having the same profile picture on LinkedIn, but also on other social media like Dropbox and Gmail accounts, and the signature, email signature, all those things that I didn't even know I needed to hear, but you built them in the book.
Well, it's an extension of the personal brand that you're trying to build. Like whenever you write something, or whenever you appear in video, or whenever you're on a Zoom call with someone, or whenever you meet someone in a hotel lounge, whatever it is, you should always give that same impression everywhere that you are. And I extend that to your visual footprint, your colors, your fonts, even your photo, because sometimes maybe someone has spotted you on Instagram and they want to look you up on LinkedIn. And if you've got a relatively common name, they might be thinking, is that the same guy or the same girl? I don't know. Whereas if you've got everything looking the same, it's just much easier. And it feels more, it feels more consistent and more trustworthy that it's always the same person every time. So I'm going to be having my photos redone very soon, hopefully. And I'm going to have my website redone. But as soon as I do, I've got this text file full of locations where my old photo exists, my current one, and I'll just be able to go and update those in a few minutes because I know where to look for everything. I don't need to remember which 23 systems do I have. I just keep it in a text file. Very, very simple, but it means that I can make that brand switch in a matter of minutes. I suggest everyone go and do an audit of where you show up on the internet and just see if you're using a photo from 10 years ago there. It's such an easy thing. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. Keep a little text file, and honestly, it will just make you look more professional if you do that.
I just found last week that my Zoom photo, because you have a profile photo on Zoom as well, was my old photo that I hadn't updated. So instead of getting those surprises, like I said, have that text file wherever you're present with your photo and update it.
Yep, dead easy. And you don't need to pay a lot of money for these things. That's a free idea that you can put in place. Know what your colors are. Have them written down somewhere so that if you ever need to choose something, you know which color to pick instead of, oh, it's this kind of rough pink. Know exactly what you're choosing. If you've got your logo, have it handy so that you can put it on any image. They're just easy process things that will help you be more recognizable in the feed. And there's one real clear advantage in doing this is because so many people look at LinkedIn on mobile these days. They scroll their phone. They're often not paying attention at what's in there. But if they see a consistent look and feel of your face or your logo on the screen, you can see the way that I'm set up here. I always try and appear with my blue shirt and I've got the background. So even if you just see that in your feed, maybe you didn't read the post, but it goes into your head that, oh yeah, it's that guy. He's still around. He's still creating something. It's just a reminder of relevance. So if I turned up with a different background, or my hair was different, or I'm wearing different clothes all the time, or I change my logo every week, I'm not going to be memorable. Or if I do the horrible thing, which is I use stock imagery, and I hate when people do that because it's just not differentiated at all. So I love your cartoons because anytime I see one of those cartoons, I know immediately it's your style, and that reminds me of you. And so anything that you can do to reinforce yourself visually, that helps to get into people's brains, and that's a really good visibility thing. Just a method to apply as well.
So it doesn't have to be difficult. I often hear when I meet people in person, they say, "Oh, you're wearing pink. It's your trademark." Like,
Yeah.
yes, it's not something. It's just something I like to wear and I feel comfortable in, and you will recognize me. Probably not that many people wear the same color in the crowd. So
yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to stand out. You know, these post-it notes that are behind me cost me about £10, and often I get on Zoom calls and people say, "Oh, what are they?" And you've got those same colors everywhere, and you know, or the shoelaces that I wear on my funky trainers to events, you know, cost me about £7. But they get comments, they get people to remember you, and even if someone remembers you for someone what might feel like a silly thing, who cares about post-it notes or shoelaces? If they remember you instead of the other person, just that one small thing might be worth it. These things don't have to cost a lot. So yeah, think about your visuals as much as anything. It's really powerful stuff.
let's head over to the comments. So we have our friend joining us from all over the world. We have Kevin D. Turner. He's from the US. Hello, Kevin. Thank you for joining us. And we have Jeff. Oh, he's wearing the Friday Show T-shirt. And so are we.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell me about the Friday Shout Club.
Yeah, so that's kind of another facet of my brand. It was just a spur of the moment idea that I had about five and a half years ago, that I just wanted to celebrate someone. And at the time, there was something called Follow Friday on Twitter, which was probably dying out in popularity. And I just thought, let me just do something on LinkedIn instead. And I came up with a hashtag, and I mentioned one of my colleagues, and then I just turned up and kept doing it. So just last week was the 250th one. So it's 5 years worth of Friday Shouts. And every week I pick someone who I say has a good heart and mind, and it's someone, you know, worth getting to know in some capacity for whatever skill they have on LinkedIn. So yeah, we've got 250 people in it. I created this this shirt, and you know, you're a member of our club, and so is Jeff Young, and it just feels like a nice thing to do. Now, is it a commercial operation? Not really. You know, no one's paying to be in it. I'm not selling the shirts at a profit or anything like that, but it's something that people will associate with me, and therefore it's kind of good from the personal brand. Someone might see your shirt and ask you, well, what's that about? Or they might see one of my posts and they might go into the other post about the last week's person, and that might lead them to some of my other content. So, you know, it has value if you can create something that I call a content appointment, you know, like you're doing with your live show, something you can do on a regular basis that is of a defined style. You know what you're going to be talking about, some recruitment tips, or you're going to get guests on. I'm going to be shouting out a person on a Friday. It's just something more to make you memorable. And in a world with so many people all trying to promote their businesses in various ways, some of them do it through advertising, some of it do it through cold calling and all sorts of rubbish activities. If you can do something that attracts people to you by doing something nice in the world and setting a content appointment, something on a regular basis, that can really, really work well.
Yeah. And talking about good hearts and minds, Mick Adam says hello from Bruges. He was twice appointed to the
He was
Friday Shout.
Yes.
And I was on this weekend in Bruges, a wonderful city.
Nice.
And another good heart and mind, also member of a Friday Shout Club, Craig Allen.
Good man.
And also another member.
So many of them. Yeah.
Everyone wearing their t-shirts today. Lovely to see you both today. Here you are being visible on this live. And soon Gillian will have her live, Gillian and Friends. So afterwards, head over there. Sandra Clark, there's value being seen in and outside.
Mm.
And we have Varsha here from India. So all continents almost joining us. Jeanette, nice to see you. Tina and John, even some friendly connections among the participants. Yes.
Nice.
And Mick has a question. How to convince people to become visible because not everyone wants to?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Not everyone is comfortable having that spotlight on them. Maybe they feel that they might be open to more criticism if they say something, and so it doesn't necessarily suit everyone. But I would say that if you've got something helpful to say for an audience you really want to serve, then actually holding that information back and not being visible means that those people miss out on that information that you might have shared with them. And another thing to consider is if the person next to you is trying to be visible and you've got better skills than them, but you don't take that same opportunity, maybe that person gets the raise before you do. Or when the redundancies come around, maybe you lose your job instead of them because they look like they're more valuable to the organization. So, putting yourself, so long as you're not doing it in a kind of nasty way of putting other people down or in a really salesy way, there's lots of things you could do wrong around this. But if you're doing it from a spirit of wanting to help other people, then I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I do accept it might not be for everyone. The ones who really embrace it are the people who tend to get on video, I find. When I see people's faces and see their body language and see how much they care about something, that makes them a lot more memorable to me. And all of the people who've commented so far, I've seen them on video, I've interacted with those people. If they'd stayed quiet, we wouldn't have those relationships. And maybe they would have missed out on the value that I might have been able to provide to them because they were being quiet and I didn't know they existed. So there's lots of unexpected value that you can get, like relationships. You can make friendships online as well. It's not just about business. So loads of value, but I do appreciate it. Maybe it's not for everyone.
I can totally agree, and it's about a mindset shift. So once you do the shift, then it's hard to go back. But you can't force somebody to become visible if they don't want to and don't see the point in it.
And if you're trying to do it as an organization, it's really important that you don't just leave it to individuals in the lower tiers of the organization. All of the research suggests that it's the top level management, CEO, board, and all those C-level people. They need to know what the strategy is to feed it down to everyone else. It won't work if you're just hoping for bits and pieces of people who are, she's good on TikTok. It'll probably be okay for our organization if she runs everything. It's got to come from the top down, and those organizations that get that, I think, will probably get more people on board, because that's about culture. Then if your culture is everyone in the organization is a media creator on behalf of us and we're going to tell our story of how we make our product or how we run our business or how our customers make a difference in the world, that feeds down, and that then helps your recruitment, because the people coming into the organization know that this is just part of the deal. This is the way everyone in the organization is. It becomes an easier sell then, I think.
I totally agree with you. And it's so much fun to see when the CEOs are embracing social media. So it's not only left to the marketing team. They create content, they post it, or no, everyone is involved and commenting on each other's posts and having normal conversations, not those very stiff sentences that that nobody would talk like that. Only a robot would speak like this. So we have more people joining us. We have Marilise Garcia from France joining us. Looking forward to a discussion with John. And we have, good to see you. Always something to learn from you. Thanks for being here. So let me see what, I notice a dip in the engagement, but my follower count is steadily growing. Is there a correlation here?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. A lot of people have been noticing the drops in follower count recently. So if Varsha's is still going up, then that's a good thing. But LinkedIn is cleaning up hibernated and deactivated and fake accounts. So many people have seen tens of thousands of followers disappear overnight. But what's most important is that you're still having useful public and private conversations. So if you're still getting a decent number of comments, and if you're still having a decent number of private conversations in the DMs, that's probably the most important thing. So long as those haven't gone silent, I wouldn't worry about the follower count. If the follower count is still going up, then that's obviously a great thing. That's fine. But just focus on more engagement, more conversations, and maybe if that is going down, I would think about the kind of questions that you're asking. If you can ask a really, really interesting question, especially one that divides opinion a little bit, that tends to get more visibility on LinkedIn. And just keep sending DMs to people. I send loads and loads of DMs every day, and it's one of the things that I can't demonstrate really in my training, because it would break privacy if I were to show you the way that I really deal with so many different conversations. But I send videos, I send voice notes, and those things also tend to be much more memorable. And someone will be more likely to want to reciprocate. If I've sent someone a personalized message via voice note or video, they'll just be much more likely to remember me, want to converse with me, maybe support some piece of my content, even if I haven't asked them to. So that has a kind of knock-on effect to your visibility, is how much time you put into engaging with others. And if you can have that serving spirit of wanting to help others, as Jeff has said in the comments, be visible by helping others. If you can do that, then that will have a really positive effect on your visibility. None of this will happen quickly. If you're brand new to LinkedIn and you're watching this, just going out and commenting on a load of stuff it's not going to make you an influencer by next week. You've got to stick at it for a long time. And you mentioned the Friday Shout earlier. Well, probably for the first year, maybe even longer of doing that, it got almost no visibility. But I did it because it was a nice thing to do, and it felt like it was the right thing to do. And now a lot of people reference it, and they're aware that it exists, and they see that the number of ones I've done, so they'll go and investigate. But I could easily have given up much sooner. And just the same with you with your live, you could have given up. But if you stick at something, that will make you more memorable and visible. These things are compounding over time.
Yeah. And you mentioned about voice messages. I often hear that it's the first time they ever receive a voice message from me, and they didn't even know that this option existed.
Yeah.
And they are more excited about the message because it's in a different format.
Yes.
Than what my message was all about. So do you also get that type of
feedback?
Yeah,
I still get that feedback, and I do mention in my about statement that I'm going, I might well send you a voice note, so please don't be mad, because I like them, and I know a lot of people don't really like them, but some people have never seen them before, which is odd because a lot of us send them through Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp, so the concept isn't new. But maybe the fact that you can do them on LinkedIn is new for some people, but they usually get a very, very good response. So I recommend everyone goes into the LinkedIn mobile app and tries to send someone one of their trusted connections, send them a voice note through the microphone symbol, and just see how that works out for you. And if I'm connected to you, then you can send me a voice note, and I'm happy to be a guinea pig for anyone who wants to try that without any judgment. They work really, really well.
I agree. And we have Kathy here.
Mm-hmm.
Do followers see each of your general posts outside of your private groups?
Well, they certainly won't see all of your general posts. No, if someone is following you, then they'll see probably more than half of your posts if
Mm-hmm.
they're an engaged follower. If you want them to see much more than that, then you really want them to click the bell so that they get a notification each time you post. I've experimented with that and I found that it ended up with many more notifications for me than I really wanted to deal with. So actually, I've pared my notifications, the bell, right the way back down to only one or two people. Um, and when I did test this before the bell came along, I found that about 60% of my posts were being shown to my most engaged followers. So that's quite a few public posts that were not being shown. You can always point people back to your activity feed. So if people want to see a chronological list of everything you've posted, they can go to your profile and click into your activity feed and see that. But you should not expect someone who follows you to see all of your posts. And just to follow up on that last point, she's asking about private groups. If you have activity inside a private group, you can see your own activity and it looks like it's in your activity stream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But someone outside that group cannot see that activity. So if it is a truly private group, you've got nothing to worry about. And this is important for people like job seekers who might be asking for advice somewhere or saying, I'm really fed up with my job and I want to leave, and then get mortified when they think that their post has gone public. It hasn't. You can see it yourself, but people outside the group, they can't see it. But if anyone looks at the followers screen, which shows you how many followers you've got, and also the following screen, on the following screen, you can see how many posts a person has done in a week. And that is the total of all of the posts they've done, whether they're public or private. So you might see 5 posts on someone's public feed, but that count might say 20.
Mm-hmm.
It's because there's posts you can't see. They're posting in groups that you have no access to. So it looks like someone is a lot more active than they appear to be in public.
I have a question about visibility. So when you're in a private group and the private group becomes public, so everything that you have written in the past will become public as well. So not like with WhatsApp.
No, it doesn't go historically.
Okay.
It'll go after a certain date. And even then, when something you've written goes public and it's beyond that date so that it is visible, non-members of the group, I think they can react, but they won't be able to comment unless they join the group. So, that they need to be invested in some level to start having a conversation with you about it. I know Jeff's group has recently gone public. Obviously, Espresso Plus is a paid space, so we're not going to do that. I think it's interesting for people who want to increase their visibility to be posting in a group that happens to be public, because they'll just get many more eyeballs on their content. But be careful if you happen to be a group manager, because if you do go public, then that might change the nature of the conversation. And so the group itself might evolve into something you weren't expecting, because people might think, I can't say that now because anyone might see it. So I'm not going to ever take that step with Espresso Plus, because I want people to be able to ask questions without the outside world seeing everything. But that's a consideration for group managers.
Yeah. What about your comments? Because often I see my connections that they have written comments and they appear in my feed.
Yeah.
How big percentage of my network sees my comments?
Well, we don't know that percentage. LinkedIn won't confirm that, but LinkedIn's in their help contents for group managers, they say in there that comments have 5 times as much weight as reactions. And that's the only time they've ever said that in any official documentation. So your chances of seeing something in your feed referred from someone else will be much higher if they've commented versus if they've just reacted. In an ideal world, they would have reacted and commented.
First commented, then reacted.
Well, yes, this is what the latest research from Richard van der Blom suggests. Yes, and if you can comment, if you are going to get someone else involved in the conversation, don't just write a few words. You should really write something with substance. And because remember that whenever you're commenting, because that comment might be referred into the feeds of people you don't know, you don't just want to write great posts. You want to add something supportive, authoritative, something that shows that you've really thought about it, because the more time you pour into that, the better impression I think you'll make on those people who've never heard of you before, but suddenly see an insightful comment, and all of a sudden maybe you're making a connection. I've lost count of the number of people who've said, I saw you commenting on Tina's post and I really liked what you said and I'd like to connect with you. Great. That person might become a referrer or maybe even a client in the future.
Those are the best connections. Then they already know your voice, your brand voice, how you sound like in writing. And if that's something that they like, then you probably have nice conversations in the future.
Yeah, totally agree.
We have a message from Jeff. Taking my group public has been good for the visibility of the group and its members so far.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I mean, really I think it's only been about a week or so since Jeff took his group public, which is great, and I hope that works out. And of course, Jeff is a bit of a special case because he's not in any way trying to monetize his LinkedIn presence, so it totally makes sense that he would have a public group, and no doubt it'll go from strength to strength because of that. My thought was more in other places where people might be asking things that would be of a more sensitive nature, and then changing the arrangement from private to public might cause those group managers a bit of an issue. But for Jeff, it makes total sense.
So I see that our time is up, and I hope you will come back earlier than in 2 years' time next time. Everyone follow John, get the book. And what are your final thoughts about online visibility?
Well, I think the people who get results tend to be the people who show up and make an impact. You're not going to get remembered if you never say anything. So if you're that kind of person who does have something interesting to say and you can bear to be scrutinized for your written video content, then start by engaging in comments. Start by, sending nice DMs to people when you connect with them, and just put more of yourself out there. And if you need a hand with that, then I'm more than happy to have a chat.
Thank you so much, John.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me, Tina.
Bye.